I can see the safety car coming into the background. There's one light, two lights, three lights, four lights, five lights, and it's go, go, go! And straight into the... Lift me up, 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 lift me up.
Good afternoon and welcome to the 2022 boat race. No, I'm not joking here. It is that wet at Silverstone today for the Formula 1 British Grand Prix. Northamptonshire, well, it's always famous for many things at this time of year. We always get blisteringly hot weather or a day in which you realise that anything could happen. And that's exactly what we're going to have today with the amount of rain that's fallen around the Silverstone circuit. The old girl today has always produced some classic racing, but it's obviously going to be a day in which a wet weather master will take the reins. There have been many great wet weather performances, none less from this man, Michael Schumacher. And let's go ahead and watch a hot lap through him through Silverstone. A man here that was a race winner many times before. Let's see what he can do today.
So here we go then, Michael Schumacher, the new Silverstone layout. He's not done it before, especially not in this car, the 2004 undefeatable Ferrari. So here we go then, straight into turn one coming up through Abbey. Bit of a lift by Schumacher, and as we go through Farm, flat out heading towards turn 3, Village. Not quite hitting the apex as you have to compromise the exit going into turn 4, known as the loop. Late on the power, and here we go. We're going to head towards Aintree, nibble the curb. There we go, bit of the curb on the outside as we fire our way down the Wellington Straight. Flat out heading towards turn 6, which is Brooklands. This is going to be a late braking zone. Late apex as well as we head into Luffield, and you've got to be really patient here. Hug the curb like it's your favourite granny. Late on the power, and there we go. Can't put it down fully as we fly through Woodcote, heading up the old start-finish straight, and here comes turn 9, Cops. Great overtaking opportunity for some people, others it's a bravery corner. A bit of a left by Schumacher going into towards Maggots and Beckett. Here we go, turn 10, 11, 12 and 13 come flying at you. Blink and you'll miss them as Schumacher absolutely nailing the apexes on every single one of them as we head up to the Hangar Straight, the fastest bit of the circuit. Flat out, 7th gear, it'll be flat out in 8th in the modern cars as we head towards turn 15, Stowe. Just hit the brakes as you approach the curbs, nibble the apex, use all of the curb on the exit as we head down to turn 16 and Vale, the pitch lane on the right hand side. Missed the apex on the first one, but absolutely slammed through the apex of turn 17 as we head to Club, down the Hamilton Straight, and that is a lap of the Silverstone circuit. Michael Schumacher, never driven that layout before. You never would have known it though, would you?
Well, Michael Schumacher and the Ferrari had some famous afternoons here at Silverstone. Once famously winning the Grand Prix from the pit lane, an extraordinary engineering feat that took place to make that happen. Today though, well, it's going to be who's perhaps the bravest, who's got the best strategy, because it is raining. But you wouldn't know that from our TV crews. In terms of the championship, Nico Hülkenberg has an advantage over Valtteri Bottas. Lewis Hamilton is third. Obviously Lewis Hamilton famous for his wet weather win in 2008. Could he produce something here this afternoon? Well, we'll wait for the lineup for the Grand Prix, and here is how the drivers are set for the 2021 Grand Prix. So, Lewis Hamilton getting pole position in an amazing time of a 125.5 ahead of Valtteri Bottas, who's 4 tenths ahead of him. On the second row, Daniel Ricciardo in the Renault is ahead of Ravenwest's Mick Schumacher. On the third row is Max Verstappen, alongside him is the championship leader Nico Hülkenberg. On the fourth row, Charles Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel line up. George Russell gets onto the fifth row, and his teammate Carlos Sainz gets onto the sixth. Pierre Gasly's beaten Daniel Kvyat into 15th and 16th, and Lando Norris in the Alfa Romeo is only good for 17th in the Grand Prix. Sergio Perez in the Williams comes 19th, and Zhang Zhou is 21st, and Nicholas Latifi 22nd, as we get set for the British Grand Prix. is Lewis Hamilton leading the train of cars back in as we all get set to go, and there's always the worry here that the fact that the tyres are going to cool down so much quicker at the moment on this stage. But one thing the cars won't be doing is their engines won't be overheating, so there could be the chance of some quick starts, but it'll be water map making sure that you miss the standing water. At the same time, you can miss accidents, and we pray there are nothing serious at the moment. Everybody's lined up. That is Lewis Hamilton. He is getting set. Valtteri Bottas next to him. It's a Mercedes 1-2 on the line. There is Mick Schumacher standing ready. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. The revs go up. Go, 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 go. We're up and racing here at the British Grand Prix, and Hamilton's got away. Bottas with a fantastic start. Look at Schumacher. Look at Schumacher. He's been able to get through into second place. He's pulled back from Daniel Ricciardo, who's made a fantastic start. Bottas has gone wide down into 5th place. Lewis Hamilton, though, has started and does lead, and he does like it from these situations. But look at that, a lightning start. Bottas has got it all wrong. Ricciardo up into second place in the Renault. Mick Schumacher is the Nico Hulkenberg has come through into 4th place. There they go, flying for the first time down the Wellington Straight. A first opportunity to try and make a pass round Brooklyn. Side by side goes Schumacher and Ricciardo. There they go through Luffield. Schumacher is side by side on Ricciardo. Look at Hulkenberg. He's also looking to try and sneak behind Schumacher, and it's going to break it because it's been an opportunity to go around the outside. Now this is the battle there of between Bottas and Max Verstappen, and Verstappen as they go flat out, all the way flat out. Wow, look at this. This is quite brilliant motor racing that we're seeing at the moment, and now they enter through Maggots and Beckett's, and it's a sweeping left and right. The cars themselves are going from 180 mile an hour all the way down to 135 through Chapel, back up down the Hangar Straight, 200 mile an hour. Look at the gap already that Lewis Hamilton's been able to bring out as he brakes heavily, making his way there into Stowe, and side by side through Stowe again. Schumacher and Ricciardo are both able to make it. They brake hard into the Vale, at him for the end, but it's not the end of this Grand Prix. We're just getting going. Round through club. That's the first lap of the British Grand Prix underway, and it's Lewis Hamilton that leads. He's got Mick Schumacher behind him, Daniel Ricciardo and Nico Hulkenberg all involved in a tight battle. Max Verstappen's also involved. Bottas started second and down into 6th at the moment. Schumacher has passed Ricciardo, and now he's got to be thinking chasing down Lewis Hamilton.
Well, what a start by everyone. They're all managing to keep it nice and clean in conditions that really should not have this kind of racing going on. Visibility, well, for anyone following another car is going to be poor. Hamilton is disappearing off into the distance, which is great for him whilst this lot all battle, but it really is anyone's game at the moment, and nobody's pulling any punches like Max Verstappen behind, going side by side with Hulkenberg, and he sent it up the inside.
Brilliant there from Max Verstappen, able to get past Hulkenberg, braking heavily there into Brooklands through Luffield. It was once Luffield 1, Luffield 2, it's not the case anymore. This was once upon a time the old start-finish straight. Many an episode of Grandstand brought to you here, but the grandstands are filled to the rest, and attendance today, they reckon, of 135,000 spectators, which, considering the weather at the moment, is an outstanding commitment and just shows at the moment the absolute devotion to motor racing that there is here. And we're watching at the moment, that looks to be Carlos Sainz at the moment. He's following us, Romain Grosjean ahead of him in the Ferrari. That's them coming through Chapel. Now they go and blast themselves down the Hangar Straight. This will be the key moment. Side by side is Schumacher and Ricciardo, and neither man can shake either off at the moment. This is absolutely blisteringly close racing between these two. Then they will break into Vale, or Valley as it's pronounced correctly, and Hamilton's already, he's flying his head at 143.3, and this time he's nearly 8 seconds ahead, and Lewis Hamilton is driving a storming race at the moment.
Well, he's just disappearing off to the distance whilst everyone else battles for second place, but Schumacher and Ricciardo nose to tail, wheel to wheel for the last couple of laps. Don't know how much longer this will last in these conditions, but right now Hamilton is just disappearing off into the distance, a bit like he did back in 2008.
Well, there is shades of it at the moment. This is Mick Schumacher, and you can see the visibility is so poor because he's not even able to see Lewis Hamilton as he flies at the moment down the down the Hangar Straight. Well, that's extraordinary. Sorry, the Wellington Straight. Extraordinary to sort of see the distances pulling away. Here's Lewis Hamilton's teammate Valtteri Bottas. Sebastian Vettel in the Ferraris leaning on the pressure. There's George Russell, another Englishman, also sitting in the points in 8th place, and Charles Leclerc sitting behind him. And changed going down the order. Grosjean's got it wrong, and Ocon's got past. Leclerc has passed Russell. So a reminder at the moment of the top 3. Hamilton leads. The lead is by 8 seconds. Mick Schumacher in the Ravenwest is 2nd. Daniel Ricciardo is 3rd, and he is chasing Mick Schumacher. But Nico Hülkenberg is also involved in it, and that looked very suspiciously like you might have come very close, Hülkenberg, to potentially clipping the back wheel of Daniel Ricciardo. But at the moment, Mick Schumacher is continuing to defend. And Ricciardo, well, he's driven an absolutely brilliant race at the moment, the Australian. Really is giving everything that he's got. That is Max Verstappen able to send one up the inside and get past Hülkenberg. And Max Verstappen at the moment is once again putting in a brilliant performance at the moment. And he is undercut there, and Hülkenberg goes past. And look at the visibility. It's just dreadful at the moment. But there is Verstappen. They're going to make their way through Abbey. That would normally be absolutely flat out. But that's not the case at the moment in this situation. In this Grand Prix, they're going to have to slow themselves down. Now they break through the farm section, round the look. Aintree is there, and now just so close again. This will be the exit to Aintree. Now it's the Wellington Straight. Once upon a time, people have got to remember that Silverstone was built on an old RAF base. Hence, you've got to look for names such as Wellington. Hangar Straight was once where the hangars were kept many years ago. Would you believe it? And as they make their way through Brooklands and round through Luffield, Brooklands, of course, famous old race circuit available in north west Surrey. So Lewis Hamilton leads lap 4 of 26 here this afternoon at Silverstone. Daniel Ricciardo is 2nd, Schumacher is 3rd, Hülkenberg is 4th, Max Verstappen is 5th, Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari is 6th. Bottas is battling George Russell at the moment, but Bottas started 2nd, down in 7th. What's gone wrong for Valtteri Bottas today?
Well, he just bogged down at the start. Oh, team radio. Nico, please hold position. Don't get involved in the next battle, please. Yep. Well, team orders coming into play there. Obviously not wanting him to battle with Mick in these conditions. Risky business at the minute, compromising, potentially hitting your teammate. The visibility right now is horrendous as Hamilton goes faster again. He's on a different level in these conditions at Silverstone.
143.1. Hamilton grew up idolising the great Ayrton Senna, and it's showing sometimes in his wet weather driving. Senna was always known as a wet weather master, very nearly winning his very first Grand Prix for Tolman in 1984, but for the race being stopped when it was. Alain Prost took that victory that afternoon, and perhaps the seeds of the rivalry was born after there. At the moment, though, you've got to give credit to Daniel Ricciardo, who is battling Schumacher, but what damage is this going to be doing to their tyres, and what do you think the strategy is going to be today in terms of tyres?
Well, potentially with a wet race, you don't have to ever stop for tyres if you can make them last that long. And the way everyone's racing, I'm not sure if that's going to be possible. As you can see, there is a dry line coming out, which will cause tyre temperatures to go up, although Hülkenberg is just not using that line at all. He's just going around the outside. I think he's trying to... Oh, he's gone wide!
And that's going to allow Max Verstappen to find half a yard he needs, and that's going to be the opportunity available. They go through the Hamilton Straight into Abbey. It's not flat out at the moment, not in these conditions, not by a long way, and then they will go and break their way through to the farm, and then from there it's into the loop, it's into Aintree, and it's back onto the Wellington Straight. Very much a racing circuit of 3 parts today. In terms of the strategy, and Hülkenberg being told to ease back from Schumacher, this is a case of damage limitation. Is there some calculations taking place between the pit crews and the team principals? Are they going to be thinking to themselves, hang back for 4th place and let's see what's happened? Which just shows some sensible thinking, perhaps, back in on the pit lane.
Yeah, it's... When it comes to a wet race, there are no mandatory tyre changes or anything. You can just stay on the wet tyre the whole race if conditions remain that way. I mean, look at the visibility going on here. It's just chaos.
Well, brave to turn around there, just slightly wide. And oh, hang on! Oh, who's that? Who's that that's out?
It's Esteban Ocon.
Oh, Well, what happened here? Ocon, it's one of the McLarens, I think, he came into contact with. Let's have a look. What does he do here?
Oh, where did that AlphaTauri come from?
Well, I say, well, poor Esteban Ocon. This is the AlphaTauri.
Well, I mean, I don't know what Pierre Gasly's waving his hand about. He sent it onto a bit of track where there was no track. It's, teammate.
Safety car, keep the Delta positive. Oh, for sake.
Well, you can understand Lewis Hamilton's frustration there. A lead of nearly 14 seconds, and it's been brought back for a safety car. And he was on for the fact that he was going so quickly, he could have been able to pit and change tyres and gone back out and still comfortably be leading. And Lewis Hamilton's got to be absolutely furious. Well, we've heard it from his response on the team radio.
Well, it's a 15-second lead that's just going up in smoke. It's not good for Renault either. They've been picking up good points recently, although Ricciardo's still in second place. They would have been on for a double point scoring finish there, but yeah, Pierre Gasly getting it all wrong there. I'll be surprised if the stewards don't look into that one, but these conditions, I mean, the cars are handling reasonably well in these conditions, which is why we're seeing a lot of overtaking going on, which, I mean, for Ricciardo right now, his visibility's fine, but everyone behind him obviously can't see very well at all, and I think that the Gasly situation may have been a case of he couldn't see anything, he sent it and not realised that there's three cars to the left of it, and it's just run into a space where there isn't any. So it's a bizarre accident, but that's very much going to spoil the Lewis Hamilton party at the front there, which was, as I say, it was a 15-second gap. We're taking a long time for them to catch up to Lewis Hamilton and the safety car because he was that far ahead.
Well, some argument's been made that maybe more use of the virtual safety car and able to keep the delta and keep the distance may be more useful. Some have argued that. You can see at the moment, you'll see Nico Hülkenberg, he's behind Mick Schumacher in the Ravenwest, going wide a lot, and I assume from there he's trying to cool down his tyres because the wet weather tyres do tend to get very hot.
It could be that, or it could be that he's trying to see. As I say, the spray is horrendous at the minute and the rain just is not letting up, so it could be that Nico Hülkenberg's just looking at peeking at what's ahead, just being able to see where everyone is. It's difficult to see in fourth place, given that he's got two cars ahead of him chucking up spray. That and, of course, cooling the tyres as well, whether he's going to take it all the way to the end, or I don't know what strategy Ravenwest are going to go with, or what everyone's going to go with, quite frankly, because the safety car does throw a cat amongst the pigeons when it comes to strategy. Because obviously you can go a bit slower, the tyres won't be as hot, you can drive into all of the, I say standing water, the cooler parts of the track where the water hasn't quite been cleared and it keeps the tyres nice and cool, so it really does throw a cat amongst the pigeons with the strategy. And there we go, eventually everyone else has caught back up to Lewis Hamilton and the safety car. They were that far ahead, it's taken a good 3/4 of a lap for them to catch up. He was that far ahead.
Well, what I have to ask at this point as Lewis Hamilton goes round Maggots and Beckett's, well, he's been following the safety car for so long. Has he irreparably pulled his tyres too much? Is he going to find the right traction moving away? This is all the questions that will need to be answered, and the only way you can find out is by staying tuned to us here on the Virtual Sports Network. If you were Lewis Hamilton at the moment, how do you play this at the moment? Is he going to be able to find that form to pull away again here, Trevor?
It's difficult to say. I think we're too early in the race for there to be a pit stop, to be honest. Those wet tyres can last a long time in conditions like this, so I think it's probably too early to think about a second pit stop, especially now that the rest of the pack has caught up. It fell at an awkward spot for him, so I feel like Lewis Hamilton's tyre management skills alone are generally quite good as it is, so I can see him going long, deep into this race. He may not even stop at all if things go well for him. As you can see that Hülkenberg just having a peek, just being able to see what's ahead of him. He can probably just about see the yellow lights of the safety car in all the spray. But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the leaders do and what people in the pack do, because some people could pit, go to the back of the queue and think fresher tyres might be better off. So it's a fascinating scenario, but Hamilton realistically has all the cards because he's at the front.
Well, until Lewis Hamilton came on, the most successful British driver at Silverstone was Nigel Mansell. Lewis Hamilton's completely obliterated that. He's almost invincible. He was based down the road here in Brackley, the Mercedes-Benz Formula 1 team. They know at the moment that this very much is their home free and their man is leading it. We're on lap 8 of 26. If you are just tuning into the safety car, collision between Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon, who's sadly retired. So we're left with 21 drivers in the Grand Prix at the moment, and there is the man that was leading, Lewis Hamilton. I say that he was leading because he was nearly 15 seconds ahead of the pack. It's been brought back and as into contention. There you see Nico Hülkenberg going wide again, just having a little look, just to sort of eye out the situation and cool his tyres down. And Lewis Hamilton's got to be thinking. Now, the one thing to point out that when you look at the safety car, and it's always difficult in wet weather, the safety car itself is being driven completely flat out at the moment. It'll be going as quick as possible while safely holding these cars back. But the safety car cannot do the sort of speeds that the Formula 1 cars can do in the straight or around the corner. So the skill of the driver in the safety car today, we've really got to appreciate, because these are very difficult conditions to drive as fast as they are. And I think he's starting to pull ahead. I think potentially it's coming in soon.
Yep, the lights are out, the loud pedal's been pressed, and Aaron Haywood is swiftly sending that into the pits. Aaron Haywood, of course, was the chief steward last week. We won't talk about the instance in Austria because camera angles were not available. But Lewis Hamilton now, where does he go?
And he's gone there. You can just hear a slight sort of increase as he breaks his way round the way through club. He's going to give it everything he can at the moment, and he'll go on to the start-finish straight, named after the great man himself. Lewis Hamilton's away. It's a really good restart, also have to say, by Daniel Ricciardo, who's also got ahead of Schumacher and Hülkenberg. But here is the key moments. They've gone through Abbey. Now they go and through turn 2. It's known as the farm curve. Sometimes some people have called it the farm section. Into turn 4, Lewis Hamilton. Ricciardo sitting behind to Ravenwest. Now they will go and speed up and make their way through turn 5. Another left-hander. Right their way through Aintree. Then it's down the Wellington Straight, and Daniel Ricciardo, well, he's had a storming race at the moment, but he's coming up for a bit of challenge at the moment from Mick Schumacher. These two are continuing their battle, and what a great battle it's been. There has been some team orders by the team principal of Ravenwest, Chris Whiteman, that's brought Hülkenberg and asked him to hold back on this battle between Ricciardo and Schumacher. And Lewis Hamilton looks to be gaining a bit of space. He is moving away again. And another collision behind. Oh. That's going to be another safety car. The McLaren there. It's George Russell and Sebastian Vettel. Oh, what rotten luck for both drivers here. We've got to see this. This is the lead from Bottas. Oh, and they just seem to collide into one another there.
Yeah, I think Vettel and Verstappen were battling. George Russell tried to sneak around the outside of him. Vettel has not seen him. And yeah, we've had a horrific accident here. See where Vettel's looking. He's not even looking, but...
Well, you can't see him there. He can't see him at all. He doesn't know where he is. He's got his eyes on the inside. Let's see what he says.
What the f*** are we doing here? What a stupid action! I'm going home.
Oh, you really have to feel for Sebastian Vettel, the Fury. We apologise if for the language, we're bleeping this as best as we can, sadly. But Vettel, oh, what rotten luck. He's out, Russell's out, Ocon's out. 19 drivers remain. The safety car's back out. Aaron Haywood's going to show us his great skill again. The great touring car champion as he is. He's driving the race car today. He's out and about, and Lewis Hamilton has once again gained another lead. It might only have been half a second, but he was pulling away again. And now they're all brought back, and we're back to where we started again. Yeah,
it was very, very annoyed, Vettel, and I'm not surprised he's going home. I mean, who's going to stay out in this weather? But yeah, Russell just appeared on his blind side, and it wasn't until the last second that they spotted one another, and it was too late by that point. As you can see there was a 2.2 second gap between Hamilton and Ricciardo. Still waiting to pick up the safety car, which I dare say they'll pick up going onto the Wellington Straight again. That's where they like to wait. But yeah, Hamilton was pulling out a lead again, and he's probably cursing his luck again under that helmet. But yep, there is the safety car just ahead. So back to square one again as the race resets.
Yeah, and into the pits is Perez and Matsushita. So they've come into the pits. Asked the question, you may have heard Vettel say he's going home. I can tell you he's not going home. That's 135,000 spectators today enjoying the British Grand Prix. Quite rightly so, it's producing some excellent motor racing at the moment. Although, at the moment, 1/3 of the motor racing is taken behind the safety car, but that is the precautions that are taken in Formula 1. There is always the element of danger whilst racing, and you can still see some debris on the track where they collided there. And they collided themselves down the old start-finish straight, so that's where the old collision was. Right now we're through Maggots and Beckett, some of the most famous names you'll see, then through Chapel, and then it's on to the Wellington Straight, well, Hangar Straight as I should say. Yes, it is an older RAF-based Silverstone. And at the moment there's 19 drivers of 22 in here, so we've got 19 left in the battle. I introduced this as the boat race. May have been slightly facetious of one to do so, but such is the appalling weather, and you've got to give it to the credit and the skill of these drivers. And there's always going to be accidents, but that was a racing incident you suspect there between Vettel and George Russell. Perhaps inexperience on George Russell's point.
Yeah, he's had a bit of an on and off season, hasn't he? He's either performed really well and finished in the points, or he's ended up not finishing at all. And these crashes, obviously he's crashed with his teammate a couple of times, they're going to start piling up, and we're reaching the halfway, well, this is the halfway point of the season. We hit the half-season break, and that's when everyone starts talking contracts. It's not the best way to go into it with yet another DNF, which Russell has been racking those up this year. For Vettel, obviously he's going to be extremely annoyed, and we don't know about his future when it comes to Ferrari as well. Obviously a lot of these drivers did extend by 1 year because of the rule regulation suspension that we were supposed to have for the 2021 season. That's been moved back until further notice, so it's a really interesting moment to happen just before the driver market, essentially, the rumour mill starts going into top gear.
Well, who will be the top trio at the end of this Grand Prix today? And if you want to find out more about the updates at the moment of all what you're seeing in terms of the drivers, if you want to find out what's happening going out at the moment, then all you got to do is go ahead and look us up at the moment on Twitter. If you want to follow us, just follow at CasualChris94. It's at CasualChris94, and you can go ahead and keep all up to date with everything in the Virtual Sports Network and everything involved in the rise of Ravenwest. As in terms of the Ravenwest cars at the moment, there is Mick Schumacher. He's had a brilliant battle today with Daniel Ricciardo, and Daniel Ricciardo has driven a quite brilliant race at the moment.
He has. He's had a terrific season, quite frankly. He's keeping in touch with the leaders, putting Renault in a position which I don't think they ever would have expected, which is in touch with the leading pack. As there goes the safety car again, as we prepare to bring the noise once more. Hopefully we'll get a cleaner restart.
Well, we get set to watch us going on the loud pedal, and you see Mick Schumacher in third place. That's his teammate Nico Hulkenberg, the championship leader, who finally broke his duck by winning in Canada. We wait for Lewis Hamilton. Last time he made his drive in towards Vale, and then he pulled away. Does he make the situation? Ricciardo was able to stay with him, but only for so long. Is history going to repeat itself again? And Schumacher's got away. We're back under and racing again. Lap 12 of 26. We're getting closer to the halfway mark. But at the moment, we spent more of it slowing down behind a safety car than driving flat out. And you understand that with the conditions. Good restart by Lewis Hamilton's been able to get a start. Ricciardo straight away under pressure. At this point, though, what will the team orders be between the two Ravenwest drivers? Will the Hulkenberg be allowed to race Schumacher? Or is the risk too great at the moment in the weather currently as things stand?
I think it'll be a case of he'll have a few laps to maybe get past Ricciardo if he doesn't get close to him, and then they might swap him over. But at the minute, it's very much a case of Hulkenberg just having to sit there and make sure he doesn't have an accident with them, because the battle was raging before the safety car period. We'll see how close Mick can keep to Ricciardo now.
Time to give you the update. The top six at the moment. Hamilton leads. Daniel Ricciardo, there he is in second place. In third place is Mick Schumacher. Fourth is Hulkenberg. Fifth is Verstappen. Valtteri Bottas and Charles Leclerc at the moment are swapping for 6th place, but I can tell you Roman Grosjean in the other Red Bulls got through into 7th place, so Leclerc is down to 8th at the moment. And now we've got to think about whether some of these cars will look to pit and will look to change their tyres. And Ricciardo here, since the restart, just hasn't looked as quick, but it's just so difficult to pass that as they brake heavily and they run their way through into Stowe, it is so difficult to pass at the moment. And already Lewis Hamilton is pulling away. They're going to brake heavily. Schumacher tries to go for a chance just around the outside. Daniel Ricciardo holding him. He might have the edge through club. This could be a quite brilliant manoeuvre. If it can stick, it's going to be close. If it isn't, and Hamilton's gone quickest on 1:42.09. Is the track drying, you wonder? Or is that just fuel? At the moment, though, Ricciardo is holding up the top 5 drivers here at the moment. Something about that Renault isn't quite working well. It is as Hulkenberg tries to make a little move and get through into the farm section and get ahead of Max Verstappen. They're going side by side again. There's Valtteri Bottas also involved wide as they go and run through to the exit of entry down to the Wellington Straight. Hulkenberg has been able to make a stick. Can Schumacher make this trick? It's down the Wellington Straight in towards Brooklands. It's side by side, just a nose hair ahead through Luffield 1 and Luffield 2. You can't separate them. I called this a boat race. There's nothing but canvas separating these two at the moment. Daniel Ricciardo has been able to come back again. Will he squeeze Schumacher out and just hold it through? Hulkenberg has a little look just coming through the outside. What a brilliant down to the old start finish straight. There goes Hulkenberg having to go deep to defend Max Verstappen at the moment. Looks like he's just able to push, and Max Verstappen had to bail out as they break their way round to Cox, now into Maggots and into Beckett's, and then for a situation they'll head into Chapel and then down the Hangar Straight, which these cars, as they would be doing this in the drive, be doing nearly 200 mile an hour. I suspect they'll be doing about 180, 185 mile an hour in this situation. 3 abreast down through the Hangar Straight. Daniel Ricciardo's making the move. They're going to break it into Stowe. It's going to be a tight defensive move being made, but Ricciardo's made it stick again. Now they head towards Vale. Now this is a pit stop being made at the moment. Hulkenberg's into the pits.
Well, he's obviously got fed up of sitting behind Mick and has thought, you know what, let's get some fresh rubber on, see if that makes a difference later on in the race as we hit the halfway point. Mick Schumacher still all over the back of Daniel Ricciardo. They've been nose and tail this entire race. It's been fantastic as we're going to see the pit stop from Ravenwest. He's going to fall all the way to the back of the queue, so this has got to be a good stop.
It's a change from more wet weather tyres.
1.8 seconds. That's an incredible stop.
Well, that's as quick as any pit stop that we've seen last season. 1.8 seconds from the Ravenwest side. One thing we really have to do and remember at the moment from the standpoint here of Nico Hulkenberg is he's now got fresh tyres on, so those fresh tyres will be great for him. At the same time, at the moment though, Hulkenberg may have a slight advantage in that situation. Now it's the Haas and the Williams and the Alfa Romeo getting involved, and that's the Haas going out of the Grand Prix. Are we about to have another safety car? He stopped dead, which it looks like it's Matsushita that's out. Oh, well, Lewis Hamilton cannot catch a break at the moment. They've got to bring the safety car for that out, surely.
Well, there's potentially a virtual safety car coming out here. I believe it's a virtual safety car. It's not come up on the graphics display, but I've got it on my screen that it's a virtual safety car. Matsushita is now driving himself out of the way, so we should be back under racing conditions. There is the virtual safety car graphics now. Thank you, graphics man. Yes, so Matsushita is out of the way, so it shouldn't be long. It shouldn't be a long virtual safety car, so we're back under racing again very soon. It's very much hold station, everyone. Well, Hamilton's lead 2.5 seconds. Well, 3 seconds.
Trevor, it'd be interesting to know for those people that are tuning in that aren't familiar with a virtual safety car, what is one?
It basically locks everyone to a delta so they can't exceed a certain speed limit, a bit like the pit lane limiter, as looks like we're going green again. Yep, Mick Schumacher has immediately sent it. Still with the virtual safety car graphic, but he's done it.
Well, Schumacher's been able to get through and he's been behind Ricciardo the entire time, and now young Mick's been able to break away and is moving forward. This is excellent work by Schumacher, and Hamilton's already pulling away again. That's them breaking through and heading down to the Wellington Straight, and he's flying away. But Ricciardo here has not given up. Will this be an opportunity for Ricciardo to go around the outside? They're going to brake heavily through to Brooklands. Now it's into love field. Max Verstappen is also involved in this three-way dance that these guys are having at the moment. What has been a brilliant Grand Prix at the moment. We're now waiting to see the timing index is through. That's through the old start-finish straight into Copse. Now the three will go head into Maggots, then into Beckett's. And the cycle continues. The yellow flags are still out at the moment. But it seems to be for a couple of marshals just clearing an incident in terms of what's gone on at the moment. But Ricciardo, brilliant stuff to come back and get past Schumacher.
Yeah, it's all track is green now in terms of incidents, so we should be back up to proper racing now. But in terms of the skill involved with all these drivers keeping, one, the cars on the track at these speeds, and two, racing wheel to wheel is incredible. We're seeing British interest in Lando Norris jumping into the top 10.
Yeah, Lando Norris in the Alfa Romeo was up to 10th place, and I can tell you there as they were heading through into the hanging straight, nearly 200 mile an hour these guys are doing. That's Abbey, and that's all over for Daniel Ricciardo, who's out. Oh, well, Daniel Ricciardo was driven quite beautifully today, and it's all gone wrong right the way through Abbey.
Well, I think he was saying that was rather bad on his team radio, but it's was he given enough room? Did he not give enough room to Mick? Let's have a look. Up the inside of turn 1. See, from Mick's perspective, that doesn't really show much, but from Daniel's, it was very much a case of it looked like he wasn't given enough room. Interesting if the stewards do anything about that, but and they are investigating it.
That confirms what's going on. Race control, Mick Schumacher will be investigated for the collision with Daniel Ricciardo. It puts both Renaults out of the Grand Prix. What a disastrous afternoon for the French side. But for a man that grew up idolising wet weather specialist Lewis Hamilton, might be having one of his most frustrating Grand Prix ever. You'd have to say if there had been no safety car stops at the moment, he could very well be lapping cars, and we're just about over halfway through the Grand Prix at the moment.
He could, yes. It's very much, I think it's another virtual safety car that has been deployed here. You can see it flashing up on the board there, virtual safety car. So again, hold station whilst Ricciardo is cleared from the track. He did still have the engine running, so hopefully it won't be too long until he's out the way. But it's very much a case of hold stations. Green lights flashing on the old start-finish straight, so away we go.
And Pierre Gasly's trying to make a start at the moment and get himself jumped way past his teammate Daniel Kvyat. They're going side by side at the moment. Who's the braver round through the turn? It looks like it could just be Gasly, who's got just enough breaks through. That's really good driving at the moment from Gasly. Really is going tight as they make their way through Maggots and Beckett's. Here is, though, the man that everybody's been cheering on today at Silverstone, Lewis Hamilton, and there is a man looking to chase him down. Mick, son of Michael, moving ahead, leading the Schumacher legacy away, and Gasly and Kvyat at the moment are swapping places for 7th place, and there's Giovinazzi also involved in the racing point, and now this is slowly going to bring Lando Norris and Lance Stroll also into the contest. So we've now got a midfield battle setting place for points, and the danger you've got here is the red mist going to descend whilst there is always the watery mist available. Daniel Kvyat is pulling away from the battle. He's come up better with his teammate Pierre Gasly, and Gasly's just off, and there's Lando Norris, who's just using a little bit of slipstream to try and get through, not able to do so. And there goes Gasly again, number 10, moving away. This is Lando Norris sitting behind and just watching the battle taking place. My apologies, it's not Lando Norris. This is Joy, which is sitting there. It is Lando Norris. It's difficult to see. It's raining heavily at the moment, and they're through entry. There they go down the Wellington Straight at the moment in the Alfa Romeo. Some have asked around some of the old-fashioned liveries. Well, there is sort of Ferrari was red. Originally, the colour of the car represented the country that you race from. Silver was Germany, red was Italian. So Alfa Romeo always have a bit of red involved in them. In terms of green, that was your British cars that was set up on that. Hence why we have the colouring name British Racing Green. And in terms of how this track's sort of performing at the moment, it's definitely going to be good for the grass. Not so much good for everybody's clothes. I think everybody's going to be feeling sodden right through at the moment, but they'll be with enjoyment. And now Mick Schumacher, he's got a 5-second penalty confirmed here from race control. That's going to really hit Schumacher. Will he choose to pit at the same time? Either way, Max Verstappen's going to come through. And Valtteri Bottas, credit to him, after his dreadful start, after this restarts, is back into 4th place. When Schumacher comes into pit, he can move through into 3rd place here. But Trevor, love to know your thoughts on Schumacher's stop-go penalty.
Well, I would if, as Lando Norris is absolutely sending on the AlphaTauri there. Just trying to, he's managed to slot in behind Giovinazzi. Always side by side, he's made another good move. British interests, 2 men in the points, 1 leading. It's fantastic. Up to 8th now. Look at that, through Maggots back. There's a slow car. Who's going slow?
And it looks like Giovinazzi who's had to pull off, and everyone's passed. It looks like it.
Yeah, he's stuck in 2nd. Look, I think his engine has given up, and oh, that's going to be another safety car.
Oh, would you believe this?
Oh, Lewis is going to absolutely love that. Question is he going to get? He might get out before the safety car here. Where is the safety car?
There it is.
He's ahead of it, and everyone else is behind it. He could buy himself a pit stop here if he wanted it.
What does Hamilton do from this standpoint? If he's ahead of the safety car, he's got to go ahead and catch the rest of the track up. And on that standpoint, he's going to be allowed to pass everybody. And this could work out. This could be the one bit of luck, I think, that Hamilton may have found today. Because in all fairness, today Lewis Hamilton, as best he can, hasn't been able to get the luck he truly deserves. And there goes Mick Schumacher. He knows he's got a 5-second penalty. Do you think he would change tyres at the same time?
It's whether he decides to stop. You know, we're lap 18. There's another 8 laps to go. I reckon a lot of people will probably fancy their chances of going all the way here. Now, that 5-second penalty will either be used in the pit stop or at the end of the race. That's at his discretion as to what he wants to do with it. But the way that fell for Hamilton, he's bought himself a window. If he wants to change his tyres, he can. But this is entirely, as I said, he's got all the cards. But now it's just a case of everyone's got to roll back up to the safety car. There's a green flag being waved there. I'm not sure. Of course, this was the incident zone, so clearly they've gotten rid of it, which would imply that perhaps a virtual safety car would have been better off being deployed. But either way, as you can see, there's the gap that Hamilton has. He looked a bit confused when he came out ahead of the safety car. He was just kind of not really knowing what to do. I wonder what his tact will be at this point.
Oh, he holds all the aces in the cars. Let's listen to him.
So Lewis, we've been going long. He's going to give us more options. Let us know if you agree.
Anderson. My time's actually good. I can keep going.
Okay, copy. Let's go with that.
Well, you heard it from Lewis Hamilton himself. He thinks the tyres are good. He's going to decide to sort of go out, and we're looking here in our commentary position to see if anyone else is coming into the pits at the moment. And I think they're all following Lewis Hamilton's lead here, Trevor.
Yes, given that Hulkenberg pitted along with a couple of others early on in the race, so it looks like that might not have necessarily been the best call, because Hulkenberg is all the way down in 13th. So it looks like a bit of a strategic blunder perhaps, or whether it was just them trying to get him away from the battle that Schumacher and Ricciardo were having. Either way, as Lewis Hamilton has eventually caught up the safety car again, as the safety car once again leads us round once more. Aaron Haywood putting in more, he's probably put in more laps than Ocon has in this race, to be fair, at this point.
Very, very true at the moment. And something we also got to point out is the standpoint of what this will do for the championship. Nico Hulkenberg is 13. He's out of the points. Lewis Hamilton potentially looking at 26 today because he set the fastest lap. This could reignite Lewis Hamilton's World Championship charge, but it's also going to keep Valtteri Bottas involved. He's in 4th place at the moment, and providing he's 5 seconds or so sort of less behind Mick Schumacher, he could well be taking that position.
He could. This is very also in terms of the constructors. You've got Hamilton first. You've got Bottas in 4th. The gap between Ravenwest and Mercedes was made quite a lot smaller, significantly smaller after Austria. Obviously, Bottas and Hamilton finishing 1-2, and so a potential massive points hold difference over this race and the previous race could blow both drivers and constructors championships wide open again.
It's always the halfway point of the Formula 1 Championship season, Silverstone. It's always that stopgap moment where you go ahead and you look at what is set for the rest of the season. And if anything like last season as well, the British Grand Prix was always a marker for great motor racing. And we're seeing that today. That is Nico Hülkenberg, who's at 13th at the moment. And there he is joining the pack. And he sits at the moment, Bran. Sergio Perez in the Williams Jaguar, who's 12th at the moment.
Tell you what, that might have the safety car might have just bailed out Hülkenberg and Leclerc, because they were a long way behind everyone else, and Leclerc's only just about caught up. So that's brought a couple of extra players back into the game. So those people fighting for 10th and 9th place, you know, that 4-car battle between Kvyat all the way down to Stroll, you might have a couple more contenders coming into that one now.
It will do. It's going to be important in the restart at the moment. Every little bit of yard, every little metre gained at the moment from the restart will be so vital. Hülkenberg again is quite happy to go wide and to go and really test and challenge and see what he can do to make the absolute best of the situation that he's put involved in at the moment. There he goes again, wide once again down the Wellington Straight. So that is Max Verstappen. He's getting himself ready to go. He's in 3rd place. Really has had a stop-start season, Max Verstappen. Really hasn't got going. There's so much promise for him, particularly by Christian Horner. And this year it's not quite happened for Verstappen, has it?
It hasn't. This transition period where it's going from Honda to Red Bull's owned Mugen engines is been a bit hit and miss. The Mugen engine clearly has power, as it's has battled the Bugatti in terms of straight line speed a lot this season, but it's not quite had the reliability that the Bugatti has, and sometimes the aero package has let them down a little bit as well, because they do kind of tend to fall down the order. But in a situation where the rain has come into play, it very much comes down to chassis, and well, we know one thing about Red Bull: they know how to build a very decent car from the ground up. And well, you just look at them 3rd and 5th, challenging potentially for a podium, 2 people on the podium perhaps if they play their cards right. So again, halfway point of the season, a good chance to take stock as the safety car takes off.
Well, from Red Bull's standpoint, you've got to look at their technical director, and 30 years ago he was working for the Williams Honda side as they went ahead and was able to win a brilliant 1-2 race. That was nearly 35 years ago, I do say, and then there he was in the Williams Renault, through into McLaren, and now with Red Bull where he's been. And the real resurgence of the side, but it's been Mercedes that have been the juggernaut to beat. Lewis Hamilton's looked like he's looked more determined, more focused than we've ever seen him before, and he's up and under racing. Down the Hamilton straight goes Lewis Hamilton. Mick Schumacher behind. Verstappen is 3rd. Now, this is Hülkenberg at the moment, just trying to get a jump on Perez. That is the power of the Bugatti engine, and the Williams Renault of Sergio Perez has to yield. There is Schumacher. And Schumacher is chasing down Lewis Hamilton, but straight away he'll be in a battle because he's got Max Verstappen sitting behind him in the Ravenwest. Just a reminder, because of the heavy rain, there is no DRS zones. And straight away here, it looks as if Schumacher's been able to get a better restart than before, because Lewis Hamilton hasn't been able to pull away. And is that because of the battle that Schumacher was having with Ricciardo?
We don't know whether Hamilton's tyres have cooled. We're not sure whether Schumacher's got a good start, perhaps on the restart. We're not sure, but that power of the Bugatti engine, now that he's got a target in front of him, it's whether he can keep up with him, and he's certainly keeping him through the sector, as we're seeing yellow flags still waving in that sector. Not sure what's going on there, but Mick has had a better restart than most. He's keeping Hamilton in his sight.
Well, Mick Schumacher is eyeing up an opportunity to chase down Lewis Hamilton through Maggots and Beckett's. Now they will go and blast themselves down the hangar straight. Key moment here to show that Bugatti power, but it's how late you can break into Stowe that will be the key point in this. And there goes the other McLaren making a move. This is Carlos Sainz just trying to find his way past Grosjean, and has done so. And now he's got Valtteri Bottas to chase down. So McLaren here up to 5th, and Carlos Sainz, son of the great rally champion Carlos Sainz, remember him particularly back in his Escort Cosworth back in the day. Mick Schumacher set the fastest time. No, he hasn't. That's been beaten again. It's Nico Hülkenberg who's done a 140 at the moment, and Hülkenberg is on an absolute charge as he's blasting through the pack at the moment. And that looks like to be who was chasing Grosjean. well, it doesn't matter at the moment. It's a brilliant drive at the moment from Mick Schumacher, and now Mick Schumacher's got right behind Lewis Hamilton, and this restarts really haven't worked. All the safety cars, all the bad luck in the world, and Lewis Hamilton's got a serious race on his hands. He's got Mick Schumacher and now Max Verstappen all involved. The Mercedes loves being ahead, but involved in a battle is going to struggle. No one's chosen to pit for tyres in this situation, apart from Hulkenberg, who is up into 9th place and setting the fastest lap. Lewis Hamilton has got a real challenge ahead of him into Abbey. Side by side is Schumacher and Verstappen here looks to have just got his nose just ahead at the moment, and then will brake heavily in through to the farm car, through into turn 3 as Verstappen got enough to get past. They're still side by side, brilliant racing, and it's bringing everybody back, and this racing itself is allowing Lewis Hamilton just to get himself a little bit of an advantage, allow him to pull away ever so slightly. It's just all he needs. There they go, braking heavily into Stowe, and Lewis Hamilton's been able to gain a bit of space again. Verstappen and Schumacher battling. Hulkenberg is up to 8th, he's got past Lance Stroll. Sainz and Bottas are battling side by side. Verstappen here is trying to hold off Mick Schumacher. We've got lap 22, we're about to commence lap 23 of 26. 3 laps to go. Lewis Hamilton has an advantage. Carlos Sainz 3 abreast. This is going to be so dangerous, and somehow they've all survived. 3 abreast in that situation. Goodness me, that was so dangerous, but so well skilled to break through into Abbey, one of the most dangerous corners that they can do. In through the farm section, Mick Schumacher, he's down to 4th, he was 3rd. Carlos Sainz, what a charge in the McLaren to get through into 3rd place. And Hulkenberg is up to 7th.
Yeah, it was a ballsy move by Sainz, and now he's got the bit between his teeth, and he might want to have a go at Max Verstappen. Oh, it's very close. Mick Schumacher's going to have a nibble back though. Round the outside, he's going to have the inside line going into the next corner into Luffield. Oh, it's very good from Mick. He's very much, if it wasn't for that time penalty, he'd be obviously definitely on the podium the way that things are going, but he is having a stonking race.
Yeah, he's been able to go ahead and squeeze Sainz out of Woodcote, and has got in 3rd place, but with that 5 seconds adrift, that is going to affect him later on. Grosjean has passed Bottas, and this is the battle that you're seeing. This is Romain Grosjean and Valtteri Bottas in the Mercedes side by side again. Such bravery through Maggots and through Beckett's. This is outstanding racing, still yetting to yield the position through Aintree. Now to blast down the hangar straight. This will be the key moment. This was famously where Nigel Mansell passed Nelson Piquet with the left-right, left-flick move at nearly 200 miles an hour. We're seeing some brilliant battles today. Grosjean and Bottas is just one of many, but this is also bringing Nico Hulkenberg involved. He's looking like a shark at the moment. He can smell blood and he can see the advantage. But now this is Mick Schumacher. He's having a go at Max Verstappen. Side by side again, just able to do enough to get through. What bravery from these drivers. It's allowed Lewis Hamilton to pull away again. So Lewis Hamilton will be delighted in that situation. Through to turn 4, then they will go past turn 5, known as Aintree, and it is Aintree that holds the Grand National, and it is the Grand National motor racing we're seeing this afternoon. Down into the Wellington Straight, there goes Mick Schumacher, and already you're struggling to see Lewis Hamilton, who's been able to pull away in all the battles. Now Schumacher and Verstappen side by side again. This was the key moment into Luffield, what's known as Luffield 1 and Luffield 2. It's Luffield now because it's Woodcote next, and then they're into the old start-finish straight where many a Grand Prix where they used to start banking round to Woodcote back in the day. Into Copse Corner, almost flat, lifting ever so slightly. They'll be doing the better part at the moment through that corner. Nearly 180 miles an hour. Now through Maggots and Beckett's, and in this situation up from 185 as they come out of Chapel, which is the corner here. They'll be doing 135 miles an hour. At this point they're going to accelerate down the hangar straight up to 200 miles an hour. The maximum speed these cars can go on this track, and that's just down to the tyres. Max Verstappen having a brave look. Carlos Sainz also involved. There goes an opportunity for Schumacher. Now this is Hulkenberg. He's passed Leclerc. Hulkenberg is up into 5th place. Hulkenberg at the moment's got to be thinking about making a move at the moment on Sainz. He's got to make sure he's got past Leclerc, who's benefited from the safety car. There is Lewis Hamilton. His lead at the moment is nearly 6 seconds, but the battle interested in is for 2nd place. Now we'll go and wait to see who's going to survive again. Round the outside goes Verstappen. Oh, he's just about able to squeeze Mick Schumacher out again. Another brave manoeuvre into turn 3. And this race is flying by. Lap 25 or lap 26. Predictions, what's your top 3 for this Grand Prix?
Well, I think barring disaster, Hamilton has got this one in the bag thanks to the scrap for second and third. Schumacher probably isn't going to finish on the podium, but he's going to get in everyone's way in doing so thanks to that 5-second penalty. But any bets on second and third, it's between Verstappen and Sainz as to who's going to be able to get past Mick Schumacher, because at the minute he might be going, well, I'm not going to finish on the podium, I'm going to make sure that none of you get past me in the process anyway. He's very, very stubbornly and determined to keep hold of that position, even though he will have to give it up at the end.
Could he also be holding up for the fact that Nico Hülkenberg is trying to make a charge, but he's struggling to get past Leclerc, and Hülkenberg's just shot off the track. Is Hülkenberg out of the race? We'll have to wait and see. No, he's back on. He's just survived. He darted very, very sharply wide. And what if there's any damage to the Ravenwest for Hülkenberg? He knows at the moment his teammate is holding up a potential second and third place. Is he just going to run out of time today? There is Carlos Sainz in the McLaren. Days of Mika Hakkinen. David Coulthard and company. A famous race here in 2008 was won by Lewis Hamilton in a McLaren. Could this be a similar situation? Max Verstappen at the moment is still racing Mick Schumacher, and is this clever from either man? Well, it's a simple fact that this may be a three-way battle, but it's the battle for third, which is the one to key. Now here is the man starting his final lap. It's Lewis Hamilton. He leads the British Grand Prix.
Well, it's just simple. Keep it on the track, stay out of standing water, and just keep it simple. But for these three, it's anything but simple. They're just going to battle all the way to the end. Whoever finishes, I've really no idea. Mick's obviously going to end up being behind these two at the end of it, thanks to that 5 seconds. But has he done enough to hold up for his teammate? I think Nico's probably a little bit too far back, but there he is. Yeah, he's just a little bit, although he's got his own fight on his hands to keep 5th position. Look at that.
Yeah, you can see the train starting behind him. Leclerc, Grosjean, Bottas and Lando Norris. So Englishman in 9th place, 2 points available. 3 in total for the Alfa Romeo, and Leclerc, an aggressive move, and Grosjean with a very aggressive turn as they break into Brooklands. It's a brave bit of driving being made, and Hülkenberg's got to hold all 3 off at the moment. Grosjean going on the outside round to Luffield. Holt trying hard just round Woodcote, an opportunity to break through, trying not to be squeezed through, just hanging on right on the limit at the moment of what's possible in a motor race in weather and conditions just such as this. Brilliant from Grosjean as they break their way round through Copse. That's fantastic driving, but not able to hold off Hülkenberg. That's done just enough, and now as everyone's sitting behind, this is Lando Norris, who's now in 8th place, and Bottas, well, it's all gone wrong for him. He's down to 9th at the moment, and that looks like Grosjean has just been able to sneak past Charles Leclerc. Will this be a chance for Lando Norris to go through? Well, it's been a chance for this man. He really has needed this today, and Lewis Hamilton has put on a wet weather masterclass. The British motor racing hero wins again for his home fans. What an outstanding drive by Lewis Hamilton, who had no luck today with safety cars but has survived through. It is Mick Schumacher 2nd, Verstappen 3rd, Sainz 4th, but with Mick Schumacher's 5-second penalty, Verstappen's promoted up to 2nd place, one of his best performances this season. Carlos Sainz in the McLaren goes 3rd. The battle at the moment for 5th place is taken. Hülkenberg looks like he's got it. This is a charge line between Grosjean and Leclerc. Can you settle this?
Get in there, Lewis, man. What an amazing drive.
Lewis, it's James. Well done, mate. Fantastic drive.
What a great job, guys. This goes to everyone back in the team and the factories. Thank you so much for continuing to push this year. I'm so inspired by you guys. There's a long way to go, but let's keep pushing, guys. I believe in you.
Well, delight for Toto Wolff and company, and for the Mercedes side. A famous Grand Prix victory for Lewis Hamilton in dreadful conditions. But everyone here, 135,000 fans that have camped out here over the weekend, well, they're gonna have what they've always wanted to see, and that's God Save the Queen played. Lewis Hamilton will stand on top of it. Driver of the day, Zhang Zhou at the moment, up to 10th. Brilliant drive and a first points for Alfa Romeo, with both teams scoring. But there is the man standing stop and proud of the podium. Congratulations to Max Verstappen and Carlos Sainz, but the driver of my day, well, it's down to Lewis. Outstanding wet weather drive at the moment in that Mercedes.
God, what a race that was. When everyone saw the heavens open, we all thought, oh, it's going to be a drab parade, but we got anything but One of the best races I've ever seen in wet conditions. I don't know about you.
Well, it has been a brilliant, brilliant motor race. Congratulations to Lewis Hamilton. 25 points for him. He's come through to win the British Grand Prix. Outstanding performance. Almost the perfect weekend. Started first. Nearly set the fastest lap, but for a brilliant performance from Nico Hülkenberg, who comes through in 5th. Mick Schumacher, after that 5 seconds time penalty, finishes 4th. So Max Verstappen and Carlos Sainz are promoted to 2nd and 3rd respectively. For the other Red Bull, Romain Grosjean comes through in 6th place to claim the last old-fashioned championship points. And Charles Leclerc beats Lando Norris in the Alfa Romeo. Battle of the Italian horses goes to Charles Leclerc. With Lando Norris starting at 17th, finishing 8th. Charles Leclerc starting 7th and finished 7th. Valtteri Bottas, an afternoon forget for him, started 2nd, ended up finished 9th. Zhang Zhuyi started 21st and he's come up to finish 10th and get a point at long last. A brilliant drive for him. Alex Albon in the house is 11th. Gasly, Perez and Latifi make up 12th, 13th and 14th respectively.
It's a great drive from the Alfa Romeos, both of them towards the back of the grid, and somehow both ended up within the points. Brilliant performance for them. It'll be a bit disappointing for Ferrari, obviously Vettel not finishing, and for Renault, they'll be the biggest disappointed party here, because they were having such a good season up to here, and they've ended up having a double DNF.
Yeah, rotten luck for the Renault, particularly Daniel Ricciardo, who was odds on for a podium in the way he was driving in 2nd place, and I'm sure he might have a little word to Mick Schumacher, who did get the 5-second penalty from that. As for the rest of the field, Lance Stroll in the Racing Point came in 15th. He was 2 laps down, and Daniel Kvyat in the AlphaTauri, along with Antonio Giovinazzi, Daniel Ricciardo, Nobuhiro Matsushita, Sebastian Vettel, George Russell and Esteban Ocon all failed to finish. So we finished this Grand Prix with just 15 drivers today. But that doesn't tell the whole story. It was an outstanding race and an outstanding bit of motor racing from everybody involved. But the best of them all today, under awful conditions, a brilliant drive from Lewis Hamilton. As a result, in the championship points, he's been able to reduce the arrears to Nico Hülkenberg by 13 points. Lewis Hamilton's not ready to give up his crown as world champion. Valtteri Bottas jumps down into 3rd place. He finds himself 28 points now, adrift of Nico Hülkenberg. Mick Schumacher retains 4th spot, but Max Verstappen in the Red Bull moves up to 5th. It's not far between these drivers. Is Max Verstappen going to be involved? Daniel Ricciardo's rotten luck means he's bumped down into 6th place in the championship. As a result, point scorer for the very first time is Zhang Zhuyi in the Alfa Romeo. He gets off the mark. It's just Alex Albon in the Haas and Nicholas Latifi in the Williams, who are yet to score a World Championship point.
It's getting very tight at the top. In 6th place, Daniel Ricciardo, just 9 points behind Verstappen, who is just 7 points behind Mick, who is just 6 points behind Bottas. It's very, very tight at the minute. And as for the battle for the championship, well, it's probably going to go down to the wire. And Lewis Hamilton has a tendency of having a good second half of the season, especially when he wins Silverstone.
Well, will that prove to be fate for Lewis Hamilton? Will there be a marker that says this is the opportunity for him to take all the advantages? Well, let's take a quick look at the constructors. Well, Ravenwest maintain their advantage over Mercedes, but just 7 points is the difference now. It's starting to look like a 2-horse race for the constructors between those sides. But don't discount Red Bull. They may be 83 points behind, but they're looking comfortably ahead in 3rd place. 31 points ahead of Renault that sit in 4th place. Biggest winners from this weekend from the constructors' standpoint was McLaren. They've been able to leapfrog Racing Point up into 6th place. Great result there for McLaren. And Alfa Romeo, credit to them, 14 points. You're looking at the battle in the lower half of the table. Well, if footballing terms, Alfa Romeo are climbing out of relegation at the moment.
Well, yeah, you don't want to be in that bottom 3, and getting as far away from the Haas-Williams squabble for last place is definitely something where Alfa Romeo do not want to be. So strong scoring performance today, definitely worth noting.
Well, in terms of this race today, it was a battle of wits, a battle of skill, a battle with the elements. At times it may have felt like a battle with the safety car, but at the moment there was one driver better than everybody else. At every opportunity, pulled away and led and drove an absolutely outstanding Grand Prix. Your race winner is Lewis Hamilton. From all of us here on the Virtual Sports Network, well, we're off to go ahead and go warm ourselves up by the fire But don't worry, we're back with the next round of the Rise of Ravenwest, where we're in Hungary. We'll be there. Will you? Thank you very much, and we'll see you again soon. Bye bye.